Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is part 5 of our Terraform Made Simple series. In part 4, we talked about variables and how they make Terraform a lot cleaner. No more hard coding stuff all over the place. Now, in this video, we are going to take that a bit further. We will look at two things: locals, which help us reuse values inside Terraform, and outputs, which show us useful details once resources are created. Okay, let's jump into Visual Studio Code. Inside VS Code, I have a folder called Terraform Locals Outputs Demo. And in this folder, I have created the following files. We will quickly recap variables and TFVars and then focus on locals and outputs. Let's start with the file variables.tf. Inside this file, I have defined 4 variables: AWS region, environment, team and bucket base name. Now, let's see where these variables get their actual values. Inside the tfvars file. In terraform.tfvars, I am giving real values to those variables. Think of it like this: variables.tf, definitions, terraform.tfvars, actual inputs. Also remember, S3 bucket names must be globally unique. Now that variables and values are ready, let's move on to locals. Let's check locals.tf file. Locals are helper values computed inside Terraform. They don't come from outside. We define and reuse them internally. Inside locals.tf file, I have created 2 locals. The first one is local.full_bucket_name, which simply combines our base bucket name with the environment. This way, any environment we choose automatically becomes part of the final name. The second one is local.common tags, which is just a small set of tags we want to reuse across resources. Things like managed by project and whatever else your organization requires. And the rule is simple: variables use var dot something, locals use local dot something. Variables are inputs we pass in, and locals are values Terraform builds for us inside the configuration. Alright, now let's open main.tf and see how these locals are actually used. Here in main.tf, everything connects. In the provider block, I am using var.aws region. In the S3 bucket, the bucket name uses local.full_bucket_name. Tags use the merge function, local.common tags plus dynamic values from variables like environment and team. This gives us consistent naming, clean reusable tags and easy environment switching. To wrap up the configuration, let's look at outputs. Outputs are simply the values that Terraform prints after it finishes creating resources. They are really helpful because they give us the important details immediately without needing to search for them in the AWS console. Here I have defined two outputs. Bucket name. This will display the final name of the S3 bucket after it's created. Bucket ARN. This prints the bucket's ARN, which means the Amazon resource name, which is AWS unique full address for the resource. So, outputs act like a quick summary. Terraform shows us the key values we care about right after apply. We will revisit this right after we run Terraform apply because seeing it printed on the screen will make everything clear. Before applying, let's confirm that nothing exists in AWS yet. Let's check the console. Here in the S3 console, we haven't created anything yet. Perfect. Now let's run our Terraform commands. First, I will run Terraform init. This sets up the working directory and downloads the AWS provider. Terraform has been successfully initialized. Now, let's see what Terraform plans to create. Let me clear the screen. Terraform plan. Terraform reads the values from terraform.tfvars, combines them with our locals and computes the final bucket name. Here it shows bucket name Terraform Made Simple demo 12345 dev. That comes from local.full bucket name. The plan looks good. Let's create the bucket. Let me clear the screen. So, we need to run the command terraform apply. Give confirmation. Yes. Terraform will create the S3 bucket using the values computed from our locals and variables. Apply complete. Resources 1 added. Here if you observe, Terraform prints two outputs, bucket name and bucket ARN. Let's talk briefly about the ARN. ARN stands for Amazon Resource Name, which is AWS full postal address for any resource. Here, for example, S3. This ARN AWS S3. Let's break it down. ARN is the Amazon resource name and AWS is the provider name, and then S3 is the service and Terraform Made Simple demo, this is the resource name. AWS uses ARNs to uniquely identify resources everywhere. IAM permissions, automation, cross-account access, and more. This ARN is basically the AWS full address of the resource. And this is why outputs are so useful. Terraform gives you this information instantly without needing to look around the console. Now let's verify everything in AWS. Let's refresh. Here our new bucket in the AWS console. Let's check the properties. In the tags tab, managed by and project are from locals. Environment and team from variables. Everything matches what we defined. Let's go back to the Visual Studio Code again. Now let's test how locals affect our configuration. Let's check locals.tf. In part 4, we changed a variable. Now in part 5, we are changing a local. Let me add -001 and save this file. I am not touching variables or main.tf, just this local. Let's see what Terraform detects now. Let me clear the screen. Let's run Terraform plan again. When I run Terraform plan, Terraform immediately detects the name change because locals are computed values. Here if you observe changes to outputs, the bucket name change. We have added 001 at the end. So the key difference is variables change inputs. Locals change internal computed values. Terraform updates any resource that depends on them. And that's it for part 5 of Terraform Made Simple series. Today we learned what locals are, how they prevent repetition, how locals and variables work together, what outputs are and why they are helpful, what an ARN is, how changing locals updates dependent resources. In part 6, we will dive into Terraform variable types, strings, numbers, bools, lists, maps, and how they are used in real projects. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone learning Terraform. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 6.